What if, in a single moment, everything you thought about power, success, and human dignity was put to the test? What if, with one simple choice, you had the ability to expose the stark contrast between arrogance and compassion? Keanu Reeves never planned to be at the center of such a moment when he checked into the luxurious Opal Heights Hotel, seeking nothing more than quiet. But fate had other plans. Outside the hotel's pristine doors, a woman clutched her few possessions as security ordered her to leave. No one stepped in until Keanu did. What followed was a collision of two worlds: a tech tycoon obsessed with control and an actor who believed kindness still mattered. As tensions rose and reputations crumbled, one question remained. Could a single act of defiance spark a shift in perspective? Before we continue this story, let us know where you are watching from. If you like stories like this, subscribe to the channel, because tomorrow we have another special story for you. Keanu Reeves stepped out of the taxi and into the brilliant Los Angeles sunshine, the mid-morning light reflecting off the towering glass facade of the Opal Heights Hotel. Wearing dark sunglasses and carrying a single, well-worn suitcase, he hoped to enjoy a peaceful stay away from the usual Hollywood clamor. A uniformed doorman approached, greeting him with a warm, professional smile. "Welcome to Opal Heights, sir," the doorman said, swiftly lifting Keanu's bag from the trunk. Keanu thanked him politely, appreciating the courtesy. Despite his efforts to be inconspicuous, he could sense the subtle shift in the doorman's demeanor once he recognized the star. Still, both men played it cool as Keanu took in the opulent details of the lobby. A glimmering chandelier caught his eye as he entered. Crystal droplets cascaded light onto polished marble floors. Nearby, elegantly dressed guests spoke in hushed, excited tones, their words echoing in a space that radiated luxury. At the reception desk, a young woman with a pristine posture and a name tag reading Vanessa smiled brightly at him. "Good morning, Mr. Reeves," she said, trying to mask her surprise. "We're pleased to have you here. May I check you in?" Keanu removed his sunglasses, returning her greeting with a gentle nod. "Thank you. I'm looking forward to some quiet time," he replied. As Vanessa processed his reservation, he noticed well-dressed individuals striding past, chatting about a gala that was apparently happening soon. Vanessa slid a sleek key card across the desk. "You'll be staying in our penthouse suite," she announced. "Is there anything else we can do to make your stay comfortable?" "Just hoping for peace and privacy," Keanu answered, his tone friendly but reserved. The penthouse was everything one would expect from a luxury hotel. Floor-to-ceiling windows overlooked the city sprawl, their view framed by plush curtains. A spacious living area housed modern furnishings and discreet decor, ideal for unwinding. Following a bellboy who introduced himself as James, Keanu placed his backpack on a nearby ottoman. James politely accepted a generous tip. "Thank you, Mr. Reeves. If you need anything at all, just let us know." Once alone, Keanu wandered through the suite, admiring the thoughtful details, a state-of-the-art entertainment system, and a marble bathroom equipped with a huge rain shower. He took a hot shower to ease the stiffness from hours of flying, then changed into comfortable clothes. Yet beneath the promise of tranquility, a distinct energy buzzed. Through his window, Keanu glimpsed arriving cars and limousines, confirming a major event. He recalled the stray conversations in the lobby. It was a high-profile industry gala. Keanu had come specifically to avoid Hollywood obligations. Yet it seemed he had unknowingly placed himself in the heart of another star-studded affair. Deciding to get a feel for the hotel and possibly spot a quiet corner, Keanu slipped on casual shoes and exited his suite. The moment he stepped into the corridor, he sensed heightened excitement. Voices discussing the gala drifted through open doors. Guests in formal attire were bustling about, some carrying garment bags, others talking animatedly about potential deals. Curiosity piqued, Keanu followed the low hum of chatter toward the lobby. The elevator ride was silent except for a soft ding marking each floor. He kept his gaze on the shifting floor numbers, mentally noting how even a place famed for discretion could not fully quell the Hollywood buzz. In the lobby, staff coordinated last-minute details for the event, adjusting floral arrangements and verifying guest lists. Despite intending to stay incognito, Keanu found himself observing the preparations with interest. A tall banner near the entrance featured the image of a confident man, Victor Prescott. The accompanying text read. He was apparently the event's biggest sponsor, a tech magnate turned film investor, rumored to fund a grand project called Titan Rising. As he circled the lobby, Keanu noticed how some guests behaved with a certain wariness. Words like strict security and no media allowed hovered in the air. Then, near the revolving doors, he spotted a sudden commotion. Security guards stood tense, eyeing a small group outside. Something told Keanu to venture beyond the hotel's pristine interior. With a final glance at the lavish surroundings, he moved toward the sunlit entrance, determined to see for himself what was stirring outside these opulent walls. Stepping out into the courtyard, Keanu squinted under the midday sun. The sharp contrast between the hotel's shimmering interior and the city's bustling reality struck him immediately. Only a few yards from the entrance, a security guard towered over a homeless woman, his voice raised in frustration. People skirted around them, pretending not to notice. "I have the right to sit here," the woman insisted, her tone quavering. She held a small bundle of belongings close, eyes darting around anxiously. "I'm just catching my breath." "This is private property," the guard snapped back, gesturing toward the hotel facade. "We've had too many complaints. Move along, or I'll call the police." Keanu took a breath, stepping closer. "Is everything all right here?" he asked gently, meeting the guard's glare. At first, the guard didn't recognize him. There was only irritation on his face, likely expecting a random bystander nosing in. Then the guard's expression flickered with sudden recognition. "Oh, Mr. Reeves?" he said, his voice faltering. I was just handling the situation." Keanu glanced at the woman. Her clothes were worn, but she stood tall in spite of her obvious fear. "She doesn't look dangerous," he pointed out quietly. "Maybe there's a more respectful way to sort this out." The guard hesitated, uncertain. "I'm under strict orders," he mumbled, glancing uneasily at the hotel doors. Keanu understood it was likely not the guard's personal vendetta, but more a reflection of certain policies. The woman clutched her makeshift blanket tighter. "I'm not trying to cause trouble," she said softly, eyes pleading. "I've nowhere else to go. The streets are crowded, and it's too hot." Before Keanu could respond, an outburst of shouting erupted from behind him. A man in a sleek suit, flanked by an entourage of well-dressed associates, stomped across the courtyard. Keanu recognized him from the banner inside. Victor Prescott, the key figure behind Titan Rising. "Why is this still happening?" Victor demanded, voice echoing off the stone walls. "I told security to clear out these people." He directed a dismissive gesture toward the woman. "They make the hotel look bad before a gala. Get rid of her now." Keanu felt a surge of unease. He watched as Victor scanned the scene, apparently oblivious to the actor's identity. To Victor, he was merely a spectator wearing casual clothes. Dismissing Keanu, Victor focused on the guard. "I expect better. Especially after our conversation this morning," Victor snapped. "Where are the rest of you? I'm paying top dollar to keep this place free of loiterers." At that instant, the guard attempted to escort the woman away with unnecessary roughness. She stumbled, nearly dropping her things. Seeing this, Keanu stepped in, placing a gentle hand on the guard's shoulder. "Take it easy," he said softly but firmly. "She can walk on her own." Victor's attention snapped to Keanu, eyes narrowing. "And who are you to interfere?" The question carried a sneer. "Another one of them?" Keanu locked eyes with Victor, choosing his words carefully. "Actually, I'm just someone who thinks a little respect goes a long way." Victor gave a short, scornful laugh. "Oh, wonderful. A good Samaritan." He glanced at his entourage, who nodded in agreement. "Let me guess. You're here for handouts, too?" "You have no idea who you're talking to." Several onlookers, including hotel staff and bystanders, began to gather. Some recognized Keanu, though they stood back, uncertain about intervening. The homeless woman hugged her possessions, face etched with anxiety. Meanwhile, Victor, still clueless, continued to rant loudly. You people always hold yourselves back. No drive, no ambition. Victor fumed, pointing a finger at the woman and then at Keanu. I got where I am by working hard, not begging for scraps or playing hero in front of an audience. Don't expect sympathy from me. A tense hush fell over the courtyard. Keanu noticed the discomfort of the guard, who likely realized the magnitude of Victor's mistake. Yet Victor's fury burned so bright, he was blind to the situation. Then, out of nowhere, a black limousine pulled up. Cameras flashed as a small press cluster hurried forward. Emma Carlson, the acclaimed director, emerged. She froze, eyes wide at the sight of Victor berating someone. She spotted Keanu, truly recognized him, and gasped, "Keanu Reeves? What's going on here?" In a single moment, Victor's tirade ground to a halt. A wave of realization rippled through the crowd. The so-called homeless bystander he had insulted was actually Keanu Reeves, a globally beloved actor. Victor's face drained of color, his mouth slightly open in shock. An almost palpable silence spread across the courtyard. Emma Carlson stood poised beside her limousine, camera flashes reflecting in her sunglasses. She lifted a hand as if to halt the tension, but the press had already seized upon the dramatic moment. Their lenses zeroed in on Victor Prescott's stunned expression, then swung to capture Keanu, the guard, and the homeless woman. Victor found his voice first, though it came out in a stammer. "And Mr. Reeves?" he managed, clearing his throat. "This is a terrible misunderstanding." He attempted a strained smile, glancing at the press. "I thought you were, well, I had no idea." Keanu, still holding himself calmly, raised an eyebrow. "And if I weren't Keanu Reeves," he asked quietly, "would that have made your behavior acceptable?" Emma moved closer, her expression disbelieving. "Victor, I saw you grab him. You insulted him, along with that poor woman." Disapproval laced her voice, and she directed a sympathetic gaze toward the homeless individual clutching her blanket. A murmuring crowd formed around them. Some recognized the significance of what they were witnessing. A powerful backer of Hollywood projects, caught on camera belittling someone he assumed was homeless. Others simply gawked, phones raised, capturing every second. Social media posts began circulating within moments. Face mottled red, Victor tried to redirect the situation. "Look, I was enforcing hotel policy," he declared, turning to an apprehensive security guard. "Our guests deserve a certain standard. We can't have vagrants sleeping on our doorstep, can we?" The guard seemed torn. He glanced at Keanu, then at Emma, then at the wide-eyed group of onlookers. "I was doing my job," he mumbled finally, though his tone suggested regret. Emma snapped her attention back to Victor. "Enforcing policy is one thing. Humiliating people is another," she said. Reporters scribbled notes, microphones extended. The tension hovered between them, embarrassed beyond measure but clinging to arrogance. Victor cleared his throat. "I've devoted my life to success," he asserted, as though that justified everything. "I worked hard to get here. Stories like mine inspire others. That's what Titan Rising is all about." He gestured toward the distant banners featuring his face, overshadowing the courtyard. "It's a tale of resilience." Keanu glanced at the battered blanket the homeless woman still clutched. Her face reflected a mixture of worry and hope, uncertain if anyone would stand up for her. Finally, he walked toward her. "Are you okay?" he asked gently. She nodded, but tears glistened in her eyes. Turning to address Victor and the crowd, Keanu spoke calmly, audible enough for everyone to hear. "True resilience isn't just about our own journey. It's about how we treat others when we've made it. If we lose compassion, all that success means nothing." A hushed moment passed, stirring uncertainly among the spectators. Emma nodded in agreement. A few individuals in expensive suits exchanged uneasy looks. They had come to hobnob with Victor, but were now witnessing a public relations nightmare. There was a sense that alliances might shift. Off to the side, A small group of fans who recognized Keanu snapped photos and whispered excitedly. They admired the dignity he maintained, even under personal insult. Meanwhile, Victor's associates stepped back, muttering about damage control. Victor's composure wavered. He mustered a faint grin, as if hoping to pivot. "Of course, I respect you greatly, Mr. Reeves," he began. "My anger was directed at the circumstances, not you. The event is a major undertaking. We can't have negative optics." "Negative optics?" Emma repeated, voice thick with disbelief. "Is that all this means to you?" Keanu exhaled quietly, seeing no purpose in further public argument. He turned once again to the homeless woman. "What's your name?" he asked, his tone gentle. She blinked in surprise. "Isabel," she replied in a near whisper. "Isabel Moran." "Isabel," Keanu echoed. "Do you need anything right now? Food, water, a safe place to rest?" Isabel cast an anxious glance around the courtyard, where the press and staff continued to stare. I don't know," she admitted. "I was just looking for a spot out of the sun. It gets so hot." And I felt dizzy. Without waiting for Victor or anyone else to intervene, Keanu offered to help her find shade. As Isabel nodded gratefully, he guided her toward a cooler corner near the lobby doors. The watchful crowd parted, as though a spotlight shone on the pair. Emma Carlson trailed them, and the cameras followed suit. She placed a hand on Victor's arm in passing, her voice pitched low. "I'd start considering an apology," she suggested. "That's if you want any goodwill left for your film." For a moment, Victor seemed ready to lash out, but the cameras continued to record. Knowing the precariousness of his public image, he appeared torn, seething under the surface. When he finally moved, it was to smooth his hair, attempting a facade of calm. Meanwhile, the hush gave way to excited chatter, speculation flying about Victor's reaction and the potential ramifications for Titan Rising. Whether he realized it or not, he was losing control of the narrative, just as Keanu focused on helping someone he had dismissed. Inside the hotel lobby, the buzz from a morning's events traveled faster than any official announcement. Some guests who had missed the courtyard scene were now glued to their phones, watching videos posted online. Others followed staff members, swapping details in anxious murmurs. All eyes turned whenever Keanu Reeves passed. Keanu gently guided Isabel to a plush seating area near the hotel's lounge. He motioned for a staff member to bring her water. Though initially tense, Isabel relaxed when she realized no one else would forcibly remove her. She sipped from a glass with trembling hands. Emma Carlson stood nearby, arms crossed. She exhaled a slow breath, still processing what she'd witnessed. "I came here expecting to talk about a new film collaboration with Victor," she confided quietly to Keanu. "But I never imagined seeing him publicly degrade someone like that." Keanu gave a measured nod. "Situations like these show who we are underneath. Maybe it's good that it came out in the open." Isabel listened, eyes downcast. When she glanced up, there was gratitude in her gaze. "Thank you," she told Keanu. "I'm not used to kindness these days." He shrugged gently. "We should all look out for each other." After a moment, he leaned closer. "Where are you staying tonight?" Her face clouded. "I don't know," she confessed. "I was with some others, but we got separated. I plan to find a shelter, but there's never enough room." Keanu nodded solemnly. It was a familiar refrain in a city with a growing homeless population. Determined to help, he fished out his phone and called Patrick, his assistant. Patrick answered promptly, promising to arrange safe temporary accommodations and gather information on job training programs. Isabel's eyes glistened, touched by the prospect of real support. Meanwhile, Emma approached the concierge desk, gesturing for Keanu to follow. On a nearby overhead screen, hotel staff were testing a live broadcast feed for the gala. Emma frowned at the advertisement featuring Victor's face. "He's done a great job marketing himself as a self-made man who cares about giving back," she remarked, glancing at the silent loop of promotional footage. Today showed the opposite. Keanu recalled the banner showcasing Victor's biography, from streets to skyscrapers. The irony now seemed glaring. "You might reconsider working with him," Keanu said thoughtfully. Emma nodded. The investors will definitely reconsider. Hollywood thrives on PR, and he just handed the tabloids gold. As if on cue, a cluster of reporters filtered into the lobby, searching for follow-up interviews. The hotel security staff swiftly intercepted them, citing privacy rules. Yet whispers still spread, along with speculation that sponsors were already distancing themselves from Victor. Not far away, an anxious-looking man strode over, introducing himself as Raymond, the event coordinator. "Mr. Reeves," he said, chest-heaving, "I know you came for rest, not the gala, but everyone's talking about how you stood up to Prescott. If you'd attend, maybe speak." Keanu raised a hand politely. "I'm sorry, but that's not why I'm here." He offered an apologetic smile. "I really just want peace." Raymond seemed crestfallen. Then, spotting Isabel, he faltered, "Enter." "She's my guest," Keanu stated simply. Isabel's eyes went wide, but she caught the grateful subtext. She was welcome here, at least for the moment. Discomfort flickered across Raymond's face, but he nodded. "Understood. If you change your mind about the gala, let me know. I can register you at any time." After he left, Keanu turned to Isabel. "Are you comfortable waiting here while I set up a few more things?" At her nod, he excused himself briefly. He wanted to confirm Patrick's arrangements and ensure Emma had the support she needed to handle the swirling media interest. Slipping down a corridor, Keanu noticed that the energy around the gala was shifting. Hotel staff spoke in hushed voices about negative coverage. The few guests who still showed excitement about Victor's project seemed uneasy. A display featuring Titan Rising looked oddly out of place now, its shiny banners overshadowed by real-life scandal. Keanu reached a small setup desk where a technician managed the private broadcast feed. The man recognized him instantly. "Mr. Reeves, would you like access? You can watch everything from your suite. No need to be in the crowd." Taking the offered tablet, Keanu gave a polite nod. "Thank you. I'd appreciate that." He realized he might want to follow developments, even from a distance. This story was unfolding in real time. With the tablet tucked under his arm, he headed back to rejoin Isabel. In the short walk from the corridor to the lounge area, he overheard multiple hushed conversations about how quickly Victor's standing was unraveling. The entire environment felt charged, a microcosm of Hollywood's power plays laid bare, all because one man's arrogance collided with someone he presumed powerless. As afternoon sunlight streamed through tall windows, Keanu settled Isabel into a quieter corner of the lounge. Far from curious onlookers, he handed her a small wrapped sandwich he'd picked up from the cafe counter. "Try to eat," he encouraged gently. She nodded, clutching the food with both hands, as though afraid it might vanish. Nearby, Emma Carlson spoke with a small cluster of producers. They cast troubled glances at a monitor showing footage of Victor from earlier in the day. Keanu could tell the industry was re-evaluating its ties to him. One producer shook his head, muttering that sponsors were pulling out of Titan Rising. The ripple effect was undeniable. Keanu excused himself to return to his suite, explaining to Isabel that he'd check on her soon. With the tablet in hand, he navigated the elevator, noticing that even the music seemed subdued compared to the tension below. When the doors opened onto the penthouse floor, he stepped out into hushed opulence. Inside his suite, he took a moment to breathe. The city stretched out in panoramic display, late afternoon light casting a warm glow over skyscrapers. With a tap on the tablet, he accessed the private gala feed. The camera panned across elegantly decorated tables and clusters of attendees who still lingered in the main hall. On screen, Victor Prescott looked distinctly less confident than in his promotional posters. He hovered near the bar, forced smiles greeting people who quickly drifted away. Even from a distance, Keanu noted the desperation in Victor's eyes. The short clips capturing Victor's earlier outburst had gone viral, tarnishing his image in the blink of an eye. Keanu placed a call to his assistant, Patrick, who picked up on the second ring. "Everything's set," Patrick reported briskly. "Isabel will have a safe place to stay tonight, and I'm networking with local nonprofits for job leads. I'll text you the details." "Perfect," Keanu replied, relief evident in his voice. "Thanks, Patrick. Let's keep this going until she has something stable." After ending the call, he continued to watch the gala feed. In a surprising turn, Emma Carlson took the stage. Microphone in hand, she addressed the audience with grace and conviction. "We all love a success story," she said, scanning the room, "but success must be tempered by humanity. Otherwise, it's hollow." The applause that followed echoed with genuine warmth, and Keanu felt encouraged by her words. The camera shifted, revealing Victor near the periphery, absorbing the pointed remarks. Some onlookers gave him disapproving stares. Others turned away. He sipped an amber drink, face tight with controlled frustration. Keanu recognized the look of someone seeing a cherished project slip through his fingers. When Emma concluded her speech, she walked off stage to a flurry of handshakes and supportive nods. The camera didn't follow her, but Keanu imagined she was fully aware of the situation's significance. Her stance signaled an industry shift, an awareness that moral character mattered more than slick marketing. Powering down the tablet, Keanu glanced at the city skyline once more. For a moment, he thought about how easily he could have stayed silent when he saw the homeless woman outside. He felt relieved he'd chosen otherwise. A single act of standing up for someone's dignity had exposed a deeper problem and might even motivate broader change. Returning downstairs, Keanu found Isabel still seated, the sandwich wrapper empty. She offered a small, shy smile. I don't know how to thank you," she began. "No one's bothered to help me like this since everything fell apart." "You don't owe me anything," Keanu reassured her. "We just want to get you on a path where you can stand on your own feet again." She clutched the old blanket. "I'll call that number your assistant gave me. I promise." Keanu nodded, genuinely pleased. "That's all I need to hear. One step at a time." Meanwhile, beyond the lounge, staff were already dismantling some of the decorations intended to celebrate Titan Rising. The giant poster featuring Victor's face was carefully taken down. Several hotel employees exchanged knowing glances, as if aware that they were witnesses to the downfall of a project overshadowed by a sponsor's cruel behavior. Keanu and Isabel walked to the lobby. He guided her outside, where a quiet car Patrick had arranged waited to take her to temporary housing. She hesitated before stepping in, clearly overwhelmed. Keanu pressed the driver's tip in her hand to ensure she had more than enough. "Call if you need anything," he repeated gently. With tears of gratitude, Isabel murmured goodbyes and climbed into the car. As it pulled away, Keanu exhaled, feeling a gentle sense of relief. One person's life, at least, was heading in a better direction. Now, with the gala winding down and Victor's influence seemingly in freefall, Keanu hoped the incident would encourage deeper empathy within an industry he knew all too well. The day began with Keanu Reeves hoping for a peaceful retreat at a luxury hotel, only to find himself at the epicenter of an unexpected crisis. A harsh encounter between security personnel and a homeless woman, followed by Victor Prescott's vitriolic outburst, laid bare a stark contrast between compassion and arrogance. Unrecognized at first, Keanu could have walked away, yet he chose to intercede on behalf of someone in need. As events escalated, Victor's public image and high-profile project crumbled. Emma Carlson and other influential figures reconsidered their support for Titan Rising. Meanwhile, Keanu demonstrated genuine empathy, personally assisting the homeless woman named Isabel Moran by arranging shelter and future work opportunities. The swift unraveling of Victor's once celebrated narrative highlighted the fragile nature of success built on disdain for others. In the end, both the hotel staff and fellow guests realized the importance of simple decency. Through a few kind actions, Keanu underscored that real dignity does not hinge on status or wealth, but on how people treat one another, especially when they believe no one is watching. His resolve to use his platform for good reflected a deeper truth. Kindness can dismantle even the most polished facades of power. Ultimately, Isabel's story illustrated a hopeful path forward, while Victor's arrogance served as a cautionary tale. When the glittering event concluded, It was not the glamorous trappings of wealth that people remembered, but rather the compassion that reshaped someone's life. True success, as Keanu showed, lies not in opulent galas or inflated reputations, but in the ability to uplift others whenever possible.